Hey there, it's Freddy Cruz, sharing with you the stories of the individuals, businesses, and organizations that make the greater Houston area great. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. Those wise words spoken by my friend, Dr. Angela Sturm. She, by the way, is the most awarded female plastic surgeon in the Houston area. She's also the host of Beauty Unveiled, a new podcast series, which you can check out wherever you get your podcasts. And during this conversation, we talk about the inspiration behind why she got into medicine, some of the stories which shaped her career, and some of the mindset involved with doing hard things. Overall, this is a fun conversation. The second, by the way, on Cruise Through HTX. The first you can check out. It's episode 30, which was published back in mid-September. Check out Dr. Sturm on all the socials and on her website, drangelasturm.com. And if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did putting it together for you, please consider sharing with your family and friends and leaving a rating and review from my website, cruisethroughhtx.com.
Hi, I'm Ed Sheeran. This is Bruno Mars.
Hey, it's Katy Perry.
This is your man Flo Rida with Freddy Cruz.
This is AJ Mitchell with Freddy Cruz.
Freddy Cruz.
Freddy Cruz.
Tell your Chico pick Mr. 305 and you already know what it is.
My name is Freddy, and it's time to cruise through HTX. You are one of my media company's podcast partners. Thank you for that. One of the things that really stood out to me when you were talking with Dr. Rodman was toward the end of the episode, and you said something like, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Mm-hmm. And so I want to begin the conversation with, why do you like hard things?
Because I like a challenge. You know, it was like Dr. Steinberg said, if someone says I can't do it, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because why not? You know, what do I have to lose? If you didn't do it, well, that's what they assumed you were going to do. And so you haven't lost anything, you know. And if you did do it, then you've gained something, you know, whatever it was. I figure, and if you shoot for the moon and you land in the stars, like, that's still pretty great, you know.
Yeah.
And then what's the fun in not pushing the limits? You know, it's always the same. Every day's the same. Things don't change. You know, I'm totally into change. Yeah.
What is a hard thing that you don't like or that you didn't like? Maybe if something was hard that you tried. It could be within the plastic surgery field, within some medicine or whatever.
You know, like in med school, you try a bunch of different things because that's kind of part of it, is figure out where you want to go and what you want to do. And I thought that I wanted to do ER because that sounded very exciting, you know, and ER dates me, but that was a big show back in the day.
The TV show
The TV show
okay.
ER, you know,
okay.
that looks really exciting. And, you get to do all of this stuff. But it was hard in a different way, you know, like it just wasn't a fit, you know. I tried it and it wasn't right for my personality, you know, like I felt like I was seeing the person and stabilizing them, and then you would find a specialist for them to go to. And so what I thought I wanted to do didn't necessarily fit with me. And, you know, and you see people on a really bad day, like everyone that's there, they're having a bad day, you know, so that's hard. That's mentally kind of hard for me. You know, I like to be part of something that's really positive. And, you know, not everybody has a good day, but there's lots of good days. And even if it's that hard part of the recovery, it gets to a good place. So that, you know, it was hard to find the right thing that I wanted, you know, and you try different things and you're like, well, not very good at that. Well, not very good at that. I keep trying. So you try the puzzle until it like fits together and you're like, okay, that's it. That's the one.
So you talk about the different fields of medicine. There's so many. The body is such a complex machine. It's amazing how any of this happens. We wake up and, you know, those of us that are fortunate to have all of our faculties among us, right? I mean, 10 fingers and toes. We have all of our extremities. And what was the defining moment in the ER field that made you decide, you know, I don't know that I can do this. This is too much.
It was realizing I wasn't taking that patient all the way through to like a resolution. You know, you're just kind of stabilizing them and then getting them to a specialist and saying, okay, that doesn't, I want to do more, and I don't have follow-up with that patient. When they're gone, they're just gone. You don't know where they go. You don't know what happened. And I like the end of the story. Like, I want to know what happened. Where did you go? Did you fix this? Did you not fix this? You know, I'm left hanging with all of these stories. And
Closure.
I like closure.
I mean, we humans kind of like that,
Yeah,
right?
you like to know what happened, and I don't like that hanging, you know, I don't know, did I help this person? Like, I hope so, or, you know, I don't know what happened. And so just doing other things, I found other parts of medicine that you would get that closure and get that, be able to take someone through a process and be part of that with them, and it just fit better. I guess it was the closure part. That's a good way to put that.
Like walking a kid to school, they enter the building and then knowing that at the end of the day, they're coming back and that you're like, oh, everything was fine.
Everything was fine. And you get to hear about their day, and you get to hear, you know, what happened, and, you know, and then you get to walk them back home.
Yeah. Yeah. And so plastic surgery has obviously offered you that. So what was the first thing when you entered the field that you're like, all right, yeah, this is it. There's a story of the ear.
The ear. That I was a med student, and I was watching different people do surgery, and I watched who ended up being my mentor in residency do a microtia repair. And so he took a rib and he carved it into an ear for a kid that was born without an ear. And I was just in love. I was like, oh my gosh, how was your day? Oh, I made an ear for a kid that didn't have an ear. That's amazing. Like, I couldn't think of anything that topped that. Like, you were able to like give that to that person. It's pretty amazing. Like, that was a big turning point for me of like, okay, I really like this. I like the different aspects of it, that I get to see people in clinic and I get to follow them, and I'm not just like doing surgery and okay, see you later, you know, and then be part of something big like that. That's life-changing.
Cruise Through HTX is brought to you by my media company, Speak Podcasting. On the web at Speak, that is SPEKE, podcasting.com. Home to shows like Let's Talk About Your Breasts, hosted by my dear friend Dorothy Gibbons, co-founder and CEO of the Rose Breast Center of Excellence. The Rose provides critical mammograms and screenings for the uninsured woman and man across 43 counties in Southeast Texas. This podcast series gets deep. You're going to learn about the struggles of a breast cancer patient, what it takes to overcome breast cancer. You're going to hear about what it takes to prevent breast cancer. You're going to hear from community advocates, doctors at the Rose, and so much more. Check out Let's Talk About Your Breasts wherever you get your podcasts. And what was your personal ear moment within Dr. Sturm's practice? Was it like a particular rhinoplasty or a face? I don't know the terminology. What was that moment for you when you're like, oh my God, I did this?
You know, I don't do trauma anymore, but it was a trauma case, like way back whenever I first started. And it was this really lovely lady that had a lot of trauma kind of in her midface. And it was like putting a puzzle together because all the pieces were so tiny of all the bones and plating and everything, and getting everything to look good and to look like she did before and give herself back, you know. And so going through that, and it was a hard surgery, and it was something like 12 hours. It was really long and difficult, and, you know, getting to be able to see her afterwards and see how she looked and that she had that back. And I was like, yeah, I did that. That's awesome. Like, she's excited. I'm excited. I did that. Okay. You know, that was amazing. And then there was a guy that had basal cell on his nose, which is a really slow growing cancer, and normally is not very invasive, but if you let it go long enough, it will be. And it took off basically his entire nose.
Okay. So backing up a little bit, basal cell, it's cancer. It appears only on the nose or just anywhere on the skin?
Can be anywhere on the skin.
And it's a tumor, I'm guessing. Okay, so how, my goodness, how big does the tumor have to get before they see you? And
it depends. So you can see somebody with a little spot that's a little flaky and it looks like nothing, and you biopsy it and that's a basal cell, and you take it off and no big deal. You know, like you said, it's very slow growing, and that would be no big deal. And then I've seen people that it became invasive and it just eroded away his whole nose. And I've seen that on the scalp and all kinds of places that you just either don't have access to medical care, or you just don't know. Like, you don't know where to go and what to do, you know.
Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt. When you say eroded, are you talking about like the skin is just literally like flaking away and you peel it off and it's scabby and...
It was just gone. Like, it's that before it's gone. Like, it was just completely gone. So his fiance made him come in.
Okay.
Because she was like, we're getting married and you need to get that fixed. He was the nicest guy ever. And so we reconstructed his nose and took some skin from his forehead and flipped it down and used cartilage from his ear and some from the inside of the nose and like remade him a nose. That was a pretty great day too.
Oh, okay. Wow. So many questions. So you flipped it. You flipped the forehead skin down. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible that we can even have a conversation like that. You know, humanity is just so cool. Like,
it's cool the things you can do, you know, that you don't even realize.
And what about the skin? Okay. So you flip the skin down to reconstruct this guy's nose or to... Okay, what happened to the skin that you took from his forehead? Does it just regenerate?
You can sew it together, so it's stretchy, you know, and so you cut out the shape that you want. You know, it's like sewing, and you can take a little, you know, something that you say, okay, I need something that'd be this big. And you put it up here, you draw it. And then you take that skin out, you flip it down. It looks like a little elephant trunk. So you have to like really want this done because you look crazy for a couple of weeks, you know, and you have to warn people, this is what this is going to look like. Just so you know, the end point's great, but it's good. Just
the process. Yeah.
And then you can just sew that together. So where it came from, this is stretchy and you sew it together. And if it doesn't completely come together, that's something that can heal on its own. And you can't even see it. It's just a place in the body that heals really well on its own.
Amazing, because it's, you know, on the head, and the head is, you know, where the brain is.
Right.
I mean, wow. Okay. And so I want to go back to something you said. It was a 12-hour surgery with the lady who you were talking about before, the gentleman. Are you like hands deep into the surgery the entire 12 hours, or is it an hour on and then a colleague comes in and Dr. Sturm, you can go and have a protein shake for lunch or whatever? I mean, how does that even work?
I wish it worked that way.
No, you mean you're nonstop for 12 whole hours?
So you operate, you know, and we may, like, whenever I have a long surgery now, it's all very planned. So I have my part that I leave, I go, I eat something, I take 10 minutes, go to the bathroom, whatever, you know, make sure I'm reset and come back in.
Okay, so
you know.
Okay.
So you can do that. You can take your 10 minutes and go, but... You know, but you are doing the whole thing.
It is a 12-hour day. I mean,
it's a 12-hour, focused on something day, which it has to be the right kind of person, you know, because that's great. Like, I love that. That's wonderful for me. There's probably some diagnosis that goes with that. I don't know that I can focus on something for 12 hours, but I tell Art, we use this for good, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's some serious flow. Flow is one of those things where it's hard to tap into, and you're able to tap into it for that long. 12 hours.
It's a long time. But when you're doing it, it doesn't feel like it because you're so focused, you know, that you're focused on what you're doing and this step and the next step and the next step. And so you don't think about it until you get done. So a lot of those things, like I said, now, because all my stuff is really scheduled, I have my plan that I do. Like, okay, and now I go eat and I come back, you know, but if you're just doing it and you don't necessarily have that because it's a trauma case or something, you may just work all the way through because you're not thinking about it. And you don't think about it until you're done. And then you're like, oh yeah, I am really hungry. I'm gonna go eat something now.
But Dr. Sturm is not taking an hour off, going to Perry's for a steak, and then coming back and scrubbing in. No, it's like 10 minutes. Wow,
10 minutes. Go get something quick. Come back. You know, and usually the people in the room are like, "Did you eat?" I'm like, yes, I eat very fast.
Okay, how many 12-hour surgeries do you even have? Like, have you had in a year?
I mean, I still do them. I don't do as many of those long ones. They're more like 8 to 10 hours are my longer ones. But those, I mean, I'll do a couple times a month, you know.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Okay, so...
Over that's too long for me.
Yeah. And then, okay, so the quicker surgeries are what? 2 hours? Definitely not 20 minutes.
Right. Like faster or like an hour. My average is like a 4 hour, you know.
I mean, an hour on the short, that's to me, that's fast.
Yeah, that's like the simple stuff,
Wow.
you know, like doing just an upper bleph where you're just taking out skin,
Yeah.
you know, something like that where it's an hour or less, and that's quick.
I hear the sirens. They're looking for you. Okay. Wow. And I say an hour, it's amazing because when you think about how it's just, I've had this complete reframing ever since I had read this book called The Great Age Reboot, and it talks about how much humanity has sucked for people. And lifespans being, you know, at the beginning of the 20th century, I being 48 there'd be a good chance that I'd be dead because life expectancy was that. And
Right.
so hearing how you can, we have a Dr. Sturm in the year 2024 where life expectancy is huge. And then somebody can come and see you for a process that takes 1 hour. And I imagine the downtime is minimal.
A week, minimal. Like you feel fine. You're up and around. You just may have some stitches and a little bit of bruising. You know, it's.
And it would be unimaginable if we were to take, you know, if you were to go back in time and say, hey, yeah, this is going to be possible. And they would laugh you out the room.
Right. And they may say, well, why?
Why? Yeah, why? We just want food, bro.
Right.
So for people who are interested in medicine, what would be your advice for them? What would you tell a young person who's like, yeah, this is just way too cool and I want to pursue this? What would you tell them?
That go for it, first of all. You know, nobody in my family was in medicine. You can definitely do it. You know, it's doable. There's a lot of different ways to get into medicine. There's a lot of different things you can do when you're there, you know. And it's just putting your eyes on that goal and then figuring out, okay, well, this is where I want to go. This is what I need to do with, you know, do research while you're in college and, you know, reach out to people because there's so many people that are willing to help. Reach out to the doctors that you know. Can I come spend time in your office? And then you have some experience that you can go into those interviews and things like that with, you know, and get that experience and say, okay, I really do like this. And so those are things people look at on like the application, you know, and then go and apply as many places as you can because you never know where you're going to really like and really want to be. And then you may go in with one idea of what you want to do and you're probably going to change your mind. Almost everybody changes their mind once you get into it and you see different things that you hadn't really been exposed to. You know, I would have never thought I would be doing this. But one reason, like you brought up at the beginning, is because it seemed hard. You know, that I didn't see anybody that looked like me or acted like me that was doing this. And I thought, well, I know that I was ENT trained. I know I can do ENT. It's a great field. I really enjoy it. I know I can do that. But I'm not 100% sure that I would be like successful with facial plastics, but I really kind of want to do it. I like it. But what's the worst that could happen? You know? I just do ENT and it's great and that's a wonderful life but it worked out well and it's been a good fit. So, you know, just go for it. If it seems scary, like that's probably a good thing, you know.
That's the sign that you just keep going.
Keep going.
That's the lodestar that'll take you to the promised land. Yeah. Wow. Well, one final question for you, Dr. Sturm, and that's that the two of us met at a fundraiser that was hosted by you here at your practice, and it's no secret to the people in our circle that you do so much for our community. Why is that important to you?
Because I think that's our place as physicians, and that's my take on it. That's my place as a physician, is to take care of not just the people that I see in my practice, but my community. Because that's, you know, that's where our health comes from. Is, you know, you can't get better care if you're not getting any care, and you can't come see me if you're not getting, basic care. And so those are important things to me. And then just that we're taking care of each other as humans. We met through a CAP event, and animals are so important. Like, they're important to us, and they're our mental health to have them. And so I think there's so many aspects of our life that are important, and just supporting each other to be like in a better place that's part of what this is for me.
Well, I am incredibly thankful that we met. And I mean, the city you are quite the figurehead in the city. Oh. I mean, the wall says it all, y'all. But I mean, we have a lot of the same friends, and I knew that we were eventually going to run across each other, whether it's CAP, whether it's the American Heart Association through Bruce and Shelby. What up, guys? It's just, it's awesome that I've met you, and y'all please check out Dr. Sturm's podcast, Beauty Unveiled, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow her on Instagram and on TikTok as well. And check her out at drangela.sturm.com. Thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.